Your favorite Cup champion just won at the Glen. He danced around the bus stop, hunted people down through the carousel, and stood on the roof of his car spraying beer. Elite, world class. Now put that same bloke on the mountain. He wouldn't make it 5 minutes. And I'm not being dramatic for the algorithm. There's a mechanical reason a specific piece of hardware bolted between the rear wheels of a next-gen car that turns Bathurst from a challenge into a death trap. It's the reason a 3-time champion who's never seen this place could put it in the fence before he even reaches the top. 6 kilometers, 23 corners, 174 meters of vertical drop between the highest and lowest point, concrete on both sides, no runoff, no safer barrier catching you soft. 3 of those corners would break a Cup car and the driver's ego in 3 completely different ways. Let's decode them. Here's the lazy take you'll hear in every comment section. Bathurst is just a street circuit. Cup guys race Chicago. They'll be fine. Wrong. Dead wrong. And here's the expert take on why. It comes down to the diff. The supercar runs a spool has done for decades. A spool isn't a differential at all. It's a solid locked connection between the left and right rear wheels. Both tires are welded together in their behavior. They have to turn at the same speed always, no matter what the corner is asking. Now, the Next-Gen NASCAR runs a proper differential on road courses. It lets the outside wheel spin faster than the inside through a corner. Smooth, forgiving, friendly. The supercar, not friendly. When you turn a spool-locked car into a slow corner, the inside rear wants to bind. The car pushes wide, and then the moment you get greedy with the go pedal, that locked axle snaps the back end sideways. This is why Van Gisbergen's rivals sound almost frightened when they talk about him. Kyle Larson, a generational dirt talent, a Cup champion, said it flat out. He's way, way, way better than us at the road course stuff. Kyle Busch reckoned if he tried to learn SVG's footwork, it'd take me until I retire. The footwork is the other half of this, heel and toe, right foot rolling across the brake and blipping the throttle, while the left foot works the clutch. It's how you keep a locked rear axle settled under braking on a downshift. It's second nature to a supercars bloke. To most Cup drivers whose brains are wired for left foot braking and an auto-blipping paddle world, it's a foreign language. So the Cup champ arrives at Bathurst speaking one language. The mountain only understands the other. Now watch what happens at the 3 corners where that translation gap gets you killed. Turn 1 hell corner. On paper, it's a nothing corner. A tight 90-degree left at the bottom of the hill. Slowest part of the lap. Your Cup driver looks at it and thinks, easy money. But look at what's waiting on the exit. Mountain straight, a kilometer-plus climb where the cars hit 290. Everything about your lap, your whole day, is decided by how well you get out of hell corner. Mess the exit and you're bleeding speed the entire way up the hill while the field walks away from you. Here's the trap. This is the slowest corner on the circuit, which means it's exactly where a spool bites hardest. Slow corner, tight radius, maximum difference in how far the 2 rear wheels want to travel. A locked axle hates this. The Cup driver, muscle memory trained on a forgiving diff, plants the throttle expecting drive. Instead, the inside rear lets go and the car spits sideways toward that concrete wall on the right. And Hell Corner was literally named for death. There was a tree stump on the apex, and the story goes any rider who hit it was doomed. That's the welcome mat. The first corner is a psychological ambush. It looks like the easiest turn on the track, and it's actually the one that sets the trap for the entire lap. But surviving Hell Corner just earns you a ticket to the top. And what's waiting up there doesn't care about your throttle control at all. It cares about gravity. You've climbed to the roof of the circuit, 862 meters above sea level, and now the road just disappears. This is Brock's Skyline. It's named for the visual effect from below. The corner looks like it's cut against the open sky because the drop is so sharp you can't see the road beyond the crest. You turn in on faith. You commit the car to a right-hander while the surface is falling away beneath you. For a driver, falling off a cliff isn't a metaphor here. As the car goes over that lip, The load comes off the tires, grip drops right at the instant you're asking the car to change direction, and then it feeds you straight into the S's and the worst of them all, the Dipper. They compare the Dipper to the corkscrew at Laguna Seca, and that's fair, but the Dipper is meaner. Cars still get two wheels in the air here. You're braking, turning, and dropping down a 1 in 6 gradient with concrete inches off your door. This is the section that nearly ended Chaz Mostert's career. He clipped the inside wall on the rundown, pinballed across, and it cost him a season with leg and wrist injuries. That's what the margin looks like up here. Now, the physics problem for a Cup car, the Next-Gen is a big, heavy, wide machine designed for banked ovals and flat road courses. It was never engineered to be unloaded mid-corner and then reloaded on a plunging camber change. The suspension geometry, the aero, the weight, all of it wants stability, and the Mountain gives you the opposite. It takes the grip away exactly when you're most committed. A Supercars driver has spent a career learning to trust the car when the road drops. A Cup champion's every instinct will scream at him to lift, and lifting mid-dipper is how you end up in the fence. Survive the drop, though, and there's one last corner. And this one decides whether the next 2 kilometers make you a hero or a punchline. Forrest's elbow, a slow, steeply downhill left-hander, adverse camber, wall drifting in on exit, named after a bloke named Jack Forrest who ground the end off his actual elbow, crashing a Norton here in 1947. Here's why this corner matters more than any other on the lap. What comes next is Conrad Straight, 1.9 kilometers, nearly 2 full kilometers of flat out. The fastest section of Mount Panorama, where cars nudge 300 every single kilometer per hour you carry out of Forrest's elbow gets multiplied down the length of Conrad. Nail the exit and you're gaining on the whole field all the way to the chase. Botch it, get a whiff of wheel spin off that locked rear axle on the adverse camber, and you'll watch the car in front pull car lengths on you for the next 2 kilometers. There is nowhere to hide on a straight that long. This is the Spool's final exam. Downhill, off camber, low speed, then instant demand for full drive. A Cup driver fighting an unfamiliar rear end here doesn't just lose the corner, he loses the longest straight in the sport. One small mistake punished for 1.9 kilometers. And if you're the type of fan who looks at a telemetry trace and sees the story, the brake pressure spiking into hell corner, the throttle trace hesitating over Skyline, then you found your home. We decode the science others ignore. Join the 1%, hit subscribe. So the big question, is there any Cup champion with the tools to survive the Mountain? There's one name, Kyle Larson. Hear me out. Larson admitted he can't copy Van Gisbergen's footwork. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. But Larson brings something else. He's a dirt racer at his core, and dirt is the one discipline that teaches you to drive a car that's always sliding, always on the edge of grip where the rear steps out and you catch it on pure feel. That's the exact instinct a locked spool demands. A guy who wins in a 410 sprint car on a slick surface has a nervous system already wired for a car that wants to swap ends. He wouldn't be fast straight away, he'd wrestle it. But of every champion in that garage, Larson has the best raw feel for a car dancing on the ragged edge. If anyone survives the Mountain, it's the dirt tracker, not the road course specialist. So here's my question for you. SVG proved a Supercars driver can conquer NASCAR. Larson keeps flirting with the crossover the other way. If Kyle Larson lined up on the grid at the Bathurst 1000, locked spool, heel and toe, the whole brutal package, does he finish on the lead lap or does the Mountain eat him alive? Tell me in the comments, be specific, we read the smart ones.